Hey everyone, it's October now, and it's also my favorite month for gaming. And that is because not only do I get to play a lot of horror games and kind of get in the Halloween spirit every year, but there's also just a lot of great content on YouTube from all the other gamers that I like to watch too. And you know, everyone's talking about their favorite horror games and you know, what games they played in last Halloween's maybe. So I thought I'd be just a total copycat and do the same thing, talk about what games I have and what memories I have of games I've played in the past. And maybe you guys can help me out with picking some games to play this month too. Because I gotta say, I'm not quite in the Halloween spirit already. I know it's the 4th already, but you know, I'm just not feeling it yet. So I gotta get in the mood. I think once we get closer to the actual Halloween, we'll get more in the mood. But anyway, let's start out. The first game that I'd like to talk about is a classic on the old NES here, and that, of course, is Castlevania. Now, I did not own Castlevania when I was a kid. I just played it over at my cousin's house. Maybe it was my friend's house, I forget. But you know, I didn't have it, and I really liked it. It was like the first game I'd really seen that was, you know, just, I mean, it was like a spooky game, but it wasn't a scary game. It was like a game that was fun, but with monsters and Dracula and all that kind of stuff. And I think this is what really got me into the whole Castlevania franchise, and just kind of, you know, playing it as a kid and having that nostalgia probably is given me my love for Castlevania today that, who knows, maybe I wouldn't have if you know, if I had never played this game. So I'm sure everyone played this. This is actually not the first Castlevania game ever made. This was actually a port of a computer game, a Japanese computer game. But it's pretty solid. I've played the original as well, not on a computer, but I think it's on the Castlevania Chronicles collection for PS1. And this is a pretty, what should you call it, reliable port? I don't know. But it's pretty close, and it's still got the same feeling, even though it's just 8-bit. And moving up a console, this was probably the most spooky Super Nintendo game that I can think of playing. And I did play Super Castlevania back in the day, but it's not really so spooky, I didn't think. I don't know, maybe it's just the time, but I really felt like Metroid was a lot scarier. And I still, to this day, I still like turning off all the lights and starting up the intro screen and, you know, hearing kind of the spooky sound effects. And for 16 bits, I mean, what they had to work with, they did a pretty good job on this. And it's a huge game. It's basically like a big maze you're running around in. And there's just aliens and crazy creatures and crazy situations you're getting into the whole time. And it's easy to get lost. That's why I have my Metroid map here printed out from years ago. You can tell it's kind of been used. But, you know, I still enjoy it today. And it's very easy to obtain. You can get a cartridge. I don't know what it is now, 40 bucks maybe. But you could also just buy the SNES Classic. It's on there too. You can play in HD if you want. Well, what else we got here? Moving up another generation. This is probably my favorite horror game on the PS1. I've got both versions here. And the difference is, you know, most of the time with the greatest hits version is just, you know, a different case. This one, it's actually got analog control added. So this one you have to use the D-pad, and this one you can actually use the analog stick, which, I mean, it probably doesn't matter a whole lot, but if you kind of just like that, I definitely recommend getting this one. And this game is a classic. You know, it's still got the scare factor for me even after all these years. And I've played it at least half a dozen times, I'm sure. But yeah, 1 and 3 are also okay, but I think on the PS1 generation, this one is the best. Now, those are games I played like a long time ago. The last Halloween, 2017, I actually played probably like 3 games. Maybe not all like in the month of October, but around that time. And you know, I just really get in the mood for being scared or you know, just having like spooky vibes during Halloween time. And the first game I will show you is Shin Megami Tensei Nocturne. And this is actually what you're hearing the music for right now. And this is actually the first Shin Megami game I've ever played. And it is pretty spooky. I keep saying spooky. But I mean, when you first start the game, like one of the first things that happens is the whole world is basically just wiped out by demons, basically. And somehow you survive by becoming a demon. And you're running around this really messed up world and talking to ghosts, talking to other demons, catching demons. It's kind of like Pokemon in a way, where you're you know, catching demons in battle and then using them to fight with you. But this game is hard. It is brutally hard. It did keep me for, I will say, about 80 hours. I put a good amount of time in this game. And I did every side quest I could find, every maze I found. And I finally got to the end dungeon, I guess you could say, which is actually kind of a castle leading up into the sky. And you have to go up this whole castle. It's like 100 stories or something, I don't even know. And there's 3 different end bosses, I believe. And I got to the first one, and I mean, my guys are already pretty high level, and I just got thrashed. And I tried again, grinded. I could not beat this guy. It's just the first boss of the castle. So I just kind of lost my interest in it at that point. And it sucks because I really, you know, put a lot of work into it, but I just cannot beat it for the life of me. And so I mean, I recommend it. I recommend like the majority of the game, but maybe someday I'll just kind of break down and watch the endings for it on YouTube. Or I really don't feel like going through it again. But it is good, and it's cheap too. You can get it for under $10 on eBay. The other one I played I really liked was Onimusha, and this is the first game I played of the Onimusha series. And what struck me about it was it's kind of just like a samurai version of Resident Evil, which is a good thing in my book. I really enjoyed it. It's got very interesting artwork in it. It's got a good battle system, which is, I mean, it's not the best because you're trying to fight with a sword and stuff. It's always hard to make like a good battle system with that in a tank control game, but they did pretty good, and it actually spurred me to buy all the other games in the series, which I have not tried yet, but will be played eventually, I can tell you that, because I highly recommend this game. Another classic from Capcom. And the last game I played last year, which probably the best one in my opinion, is Dark Souls. Now, I've never played Dark Souls before last year, but it is incredible. If you've never played this, I highly recommend it. If you've already seen this, you're probably wondering, why is he talking about it? But it is probably the only game I've played in the last 10 years where I was literally like scared to keep going on. Like, I feel my heart racing, like, oh my God, I don't want this next guy to jump out and kill me again. It gets you in that way, and I've never played a game like that, really ever, that spooked me that way. So I really enjoyed it, not just for the spookiness, but the gameplay is great, and the graphics are great, and the world is very imaginative, and it's all, like all the levels you run around in, it feels like you're running around in a big world. It's kind of linear, but the paths connect later on, so you just feel like you're in part of this like immense world of just like very different terrains and locales, and it's pretty incredible. I played the second one of these afterwards, thinking, wow, I want to get more of the same, because I actually beat this game. which I don't always do with games. And the second one, it was a big disappointment for me, and I probably will never play it again. I want to say I put at least like 20 or 30 hours on it, you know, just trying to give it a chance, and I probably got like halfway through it, and I just put it down. I just like, this is terrible, you know. But compared to Dark Souls 1, I was just like, no, I can't do this. It's hard to say what I didn't like about it, but the game just felt like it was poorly designed to me. Now my cousin's boyfriend, he didn't play the first one, he just played the second one. And he said it's one of the most amazing games he's ever played. So I was like, really? Well, I don't know, maybe it just depends on, you know, what you start with, maybe, I don't know. But yeah, these are the 3 games that I played last Halloween. So that brings us to this year, and I really don't know what to start out with. I just played Portal 2 on the PS3, which I guess you could say is a little spooky, but it's not really a Halloween-feel game. You're running around with robots. So I've got some ideas here. I just picked a few out of my collection. And the first one here, you guys can give me your opinions on these and maybe tell me which one I should start, is Deadly Premonition. And I know I've heard the PS3 version is the one to have, but this is the one I found at the pawn shop, so this is the one that I'm going to play. I've seen a few videos on it. It looks kind of like a goofy, eccentric type of game, which could be interesting. We'll see. I don't know. I think a game like this is probably something that you really just have to maybe be in like the mood for to enjoy. So I don't know. Let me know what you think. Second one is Resident Evil 4. Now, believe it or not, I've never played this game. I've had it in my collection for a while. I got it at the pawn shop, and it looks good. I've heard the PS2 version isn't the best version to play on, but you know, I have it, and I've got the nice collector's edition, so I kind of like to run through this one. I've heard the Wii one's better, but I don't really want to get the Wii one, just because I don't want to have 2 versions of the same game, you know. And yeah, so let me know. I mean, I've heard nothing but good things about it, so I'm sure I'll like that one. Third one is Haunting Ground. And I picked this game up a while back, but I have never gotten a really chance to play it. It looks cool. It looks like, you know, you're almost like a clock tower game where you're kind of running away from the murderer and you're hiding and stuff. I'm not quite sure. But this one is definitely one I've also heard good things about. If you played it, let me know. And the last one I've got for consideration, I'll probably you know, just try this one at least because it's just a Super Nintendo game. But this is King of Demons, and I had never heard of this game until just a few months ago. But I saw some video of it, and it looks like a very unique Super Nintendo game. It did never come out here, and even like Japanese versions I think are very expensive. So I just picked up a bootleg version, and we'll see what it's like. The graphics look very unique, very like horror. My adjectives aren't very good today, but if you get a chance, check it out on YouTube, and you can see just like how different this looks than any other Super Nintendo game I've ever seen. Just like, you know, huge eyeballs and just really deranged looking monsters. One that I would not expect for a Super Nintendo. And yeah, so that's kind of. I mean, I've got more horror games, but these are the ones that I kind of just looked at and said, hey, maybe I'll try these, you know, this October. So let me know what you think. What else? Oh yeah, if you like watching other YouTubers with gaming, you know, Halloween-related content, I recommend Scott's Gaming Asylum, I think he calls it now. And he's this English guy, and he's done a gaming channel for a long time. But he does content that you don't really see a whole lot. He's got just like reviews, and he's pretty good with his editing too, just because he's been doing it so long. And who else? Happy Console Gamer, of course, everyone probably knows him. I've always enjoyed his Halloween themed content, along with the Cinemassacre channel. You know, you got James and Mike over there, and they always do good work. And I know they love Halloween probably more than anyone. So I'm looking forward to seeing their content this month. And also my buddy El Viejo Toro over at Fancy Action Now, he's probably going to be doing a lot of Halloween content too, so you can go check his channel out. But that's it for now. I will get back to you next time. I have an idea for a next video, so probably in like a week, 2 weeks, I'll get back to you. Take care.